What's going on? Welcome back to the regular podcast. Today we're just going to do a short little video talking about Pixar's latest release, Lightyear, the movie about the toy in the universe of Toy Story that inspired the toy. I don't know, it's a weird plot.
Yeah, man. Lightyear. I mean, ever since Toy Story 4 came out, everybody's been wondering like where the franchise is going to be going since they're not doing sequels anymore. I feel like Lightyear is like the safest bet that you can do. I
Yeah,
feel like that's a great spin-off idea right there. Buzz Lightyear is one of the best characters in Toy Story anyway. So
people will
I
go
think that's
see Buzz
interesting.
Lightyear in theaters.
Yeah. I feel like the space shots in this movie are great. On the big screen is like really great.
Yeah.
And I think another thing, I want to jump around a little bit, but I think another thing is Chris Evans.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's what I
Chris
want to talk
Evans
about.
as Buzz Lightyear, bro. Awesome.
Chris,
I don't care.
Chris Evans, he sells Buzz Lightyear to me. Like it was just
Yeah.
on. It's just something about the way he speaks. Like it sounds like very similar to like how the toy would sound. Like the toy, like
hmm
back in the old movies, like it sounds like someone trying to recreate the Chris Evans in this movie, but like scaled up. And
More
just
exaggerated version of
yeah,
this character.
like he
Like,
speaks in like the same intonations, like the same speech patterns. Like he just does a really good job of recreating this character that's just been around forever, but also making it seem like a real person in this Lightyear movie. Like he's is actually a space ranger captain in this movie.
like one of the things that I thought of was that he is a more confident, more intelligent, but also has more flaws than the
He's a
toy
lot more
version of this
stubborn.
character. Yeah, a lot more stubborn too. I really enjoy that, but also the arc that Buzz goes on is something that I really like too. Is the fact that a guy who just can't give up, a guy who just he can't take humility, he can't settle down. His pride comes before everything. So
Yeah.
him being the space ranger, I'm Buzz Lightyear. I'm supposed to get us out of this mess. That is like a big weight on his character because I feel as though that's a little bit of a bad thing about his character is the fact that he can't give up. You know how some
Mission
people can
comes
have that thing
first.
like,
The mission.
yeah, exactly. The mission comes first.
But the one thing I was surprised about this movie is like, so from the trailers, we knew that there was gonna be a time jump. Like we knew he was gonna go here, he was gonna do the lights we travel, and then time jump. What I have thought
hmm
into the movie, I thought it would be one singular time jump, and then he would be here, and then he would be in the future. But what they did in this movie was have Buzz be so dedicated to trying to correct his mistake that he time travels over and over again, knowing that each time he does it, he loses 4 years of his life. And I was like,
Yeah,
dang, that's kind of selfish. Like if you think about all these people, like all of his friends, like he's just doing that over and over again. 4 years he's gone, 4 years he's gone, and then those 4 years they turn into decades. This man is so dedicated to fixing his mistake and not accepting the reality that he literally time travels multiple times to the point where all of the people he knew is gone. And I'm just like,
exactly.
I really like how dedicated he is to his ideals of never letting the mission become second. But at some point, like, does he wonder, like, when is enough enough? And I just really like how they didn't shy away from that.
Like he could have been there for his friend's life who died in the first 30 minutes of the movie, but he could have been there for her, seen her children grow up and seen her with her grandchildren. He could have lived that life. He could have settled down, but because he just couldn't give up because the mission came first, he just ended up sacrificing his own life in the end. That's why I think it's a more complex character, and I think it's a more welcome character arc for this character of Buzz Lightyear than we got in the Toy Story films because he was just a toy. He was there to be for Andy and be Woody's sidekick most of the time. I feel like here pushing him through the forefront and giving him an actual arc was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
But for lack of better terms, like you said,
but
it
one thing I
pretty
didn't expect,
selfish.
I was gonna enjoy in this movie was socks. Because usually these animated movies, they always have the formula where it's like you got the protagonist and then you have the animal sidekick. And obviously
Oh
it's a kids movie. It's a kids movie, so I'm like, it's made for kids. That I know they're gonna want to sell Socks toys. But the thing is,
yeah,
Socks was actually a very funny and interesting character. Like
Socks was
I love
hilarious.
Socks, but there was multiple times in this movie where I actually laughed at something Socks did. Like
Yep.
when he just shoots the tranquilizer dart at the person's neck in the beginning, he says, "I bought you 5 minutes." It's really funny. And then when Buzz gets
Yep.
back and it says, "It took me 62 years to solve this equation," like it's just very deadpan and funny. So it was just like it wasn't just like a cliche like cute animal thing. Like Socks was actually very integral to the story. And even at the
Hmm.
end when he tranquilizes the old Buzz, it's just really funny. And Socks is really amazing. And I think all the side characters are pretty amazing in this.
I would say only Socks and Commander Hawthorne, the older one, not her grandchild. I think those are the two side characters that I really like. But you know, Socks. I'm not really a cat person. I really
Me
love
neither.
dogs,
Dogs are
but
better.
now I kind of want to. I might get a cat now. I'm joking. I'm not getting a cat. I don't know what I would do with a cat. But I think that also another thing that's going for this film is the nostalgia. Because
Yeah,
in the beginning of the movie, we saw it with your brother actually, and he literally said seconds before I said it, he's saying the exact same lines as he
I didn't even
said when he
notice.
was
I
first
really did
introduced.
not even notice because I didn't watch the movies before the Going to Buzz, which I should have done. And then my little brother, who's like a huge Pixar Toy Story fan, he says he's saying the lines from the original movie, and I just thought that's amazing. Like, because when you think about it, it would make sense for the toy to be saying the lines from the movie. So that's just a
The
nice
moment
way
he
to.
got out the box, like that's how interesting it was because the moment we see Buzz in this movie, that's his first appearance, he's saying those lines. But call back to 1995 when he first comes out of the box and he's doing the exact same thing. And I'm like, that's a cool touch. You're pulling at my heartstrings. I love that
Also,
because I love Toy Story. I grew up on
narrating
that.
his Star Command narrating, like Buzz does it in the
Yep.
movie, but it's kind of like a coping mechanism for him. So he's just always narrating just as a way, just to help himself in a way. And then
Yep. Keep him
that
focused.
that in the movies, in the original Toy Story movies, is translated directly into the toy, which would make sense because it's a main part of this movie. So it's a
Yep.
nice way of tying this movie to movies that came out decades ago. Well, a
I
decade ago.
I gotta say, man, that was just awesome how they were able to do that. Um, but I mean, I, I think for me, I think my last positive on this movie is just the central idea of it, like the nostalgia of it, the Socks as a character, Buzz's arc. I think all of that is great, and also the fact that it is a little bit of a connection to the Toy Story franchise. But I think that because it's so easy to follow, and also it's a broader appeal, intergalactic space adventure, the inherent concept of making a Buzz Lightyear spinoff works for me because I want to see a space ranger do space ranger thing. He's basically a space cop.
Yeah,
I want to see that a space police movie. I think that could work, and I think it. You know, the central idea of it works here because the concept is there in the movie. And then that leads me into my negatives, but you can go on with your positives.
I just got one last positive too. One thing that really just drew me into this movie was just the whole aesthetic of it, like just the whole space kind of exploration thing. Like I said, this visuals in this movie are done beautifully. Like the planet they land on looks
Yep.
really amazing, and just the whole interior of the ship's design, like how everything is just like pre-packaged ship stuff. Like the meals they eat, like they just crack and then it's just like pre-packaged heated meat. I just love the
Freaking meat
design of this movie.
sandwiches.
Yeah, the meat sandwiches.
Yep.
I just love the design of this movie. It's like kind of like a retro nostalgic future era. Like it's
Yeah.
the future, but it's also like very analog and retro. So I really do like that.
Yeah, man. The animation of it was great. $200 million, and it looks really good. It looks really good. But I mean, for my bad, starting off with what I didn't like about it, for I'd say the middle half was pretty boring to me a little bit. Like that second half when it's just slowed down and we're just exploring this world with the grandchildren and the other side characters. I I found it completely boring, and I was like, okay, are we done? Can I go see Jurassic World now? Because because at some point I was just like, bro, I don't really care anymore. Because the first half was like really great. It had a lot of emotion in it. Not to the point where I was crying like a lot of other people on Twitter said that they were doing. They were crying in like the first 30 minutes. But I were like, you know, the first act was great, why isn't the second act as entertaining or as great? I don't know. For me, it was boring.
That's fair. I wouldn't say it was boring. It just for me it felt very low energy. Like I was very still drawn into the movie by then, but it just felt not low. I'm not trying to call it boring. It was just kind of slow. Like I was just kind of wondering,
Mhm.
all right, where are they gonna go with this? And it was just like I wasn't really the movie near the in the middle just didn't really make me feel anything. Like it felt like I was just
Yeah,
watching the movie. Like I wasn't really like there
exactly.
wasn't any interesting things happening, but it was still good in my opinion. But like the whole like middle adventure, it was just I don't know, it wasn't that intriguing. It was very basic stuff. They had to destroy the mothership, and then they all get to go home. It's a very basic plot, which I mean makes sense. It is more leaning towards children, but it just wasn't very high energy or entertaining at that moment in the middle.
Yeah, and for me, the side characters, I did not like the side
There
characters
was a
at
few
all.
side characters I didn't like. Oh, I liked Taika Waititi's. That was Taika, right?
Yeah,
I didn't like his character at points, and the old lady I did not really like at some points.
facts. I mean, all three of them I really didn't like. With the granddaughter, she was at the bottom of the list, but oh my god, at the top is that Taika Waititi character. I hated it. He was just so clumsy for no reason, so dumb
Yeah,
for
I
no
get
reason.
it. They wanted to have his arc, but he messed up way too many times. Like the first time, I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this. The second time, I was
Mhm.
like, all right. And then the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time, he just messes up so much. Where it's like when he does eventually get his save the day moment, you just don't care because the
Exactly.
characters already made you annoyed at that point.
Literally, our friend, when he pulled out the pin, my friend was like, get the F out. He said the actual word. Like he just said, get the F out. Because it was like, it was pointless. At that point, I didn't care anymore.
I really
And
didn't.
then,
I was already
and then with
upset
the,
at this character.
exactly. And then with the old lady, I was like, bro, you're just a
It
stereotype
is. It's
of
just
the
a
cool
stereotype.
old lady. Like, what's the point? Like, I've seen this type of character before. I've seen this old lady who's actually a rebel who's done bad things before, but she actually has a heart of gold. She's just a little bit more rascally. Like, I don't care. And then with Hawthorne as a daughter, I mean, as the granddaughter,
I liked
uh,
Hawthorne. She wasn't too bad for me.
yeah, she wasn't that bad, but I still didn't like her as much as, as Buzz, only because of the fact that it's another thing that I've seen before. A person who's not sure of themselves,
The
a
rookie.
person who's scared. Yeah, the rookie. I've seen all of this before. And literally while I was watching the movie, I was like, well, I can already know where this is going. They're gonna prove themselves by the end, and then they're gonna be a part of his intergalactic space team. I already know where this plot is going. So then that leads me to another negative. The plot is
Generic.
basic, and I
Generic.
know you said like it's the kids movie, but I feel like with Toy Story 4, with Finding Nemo, there's like hidden subliminal messages about fatherhood with Finding Nemo or finding your own place in the world with Toy Story 4. Well, that's how I see those movies. With the Lightyear, I didn't get that. I just got a basic, you know,
Destroy the mothership.
cop meets yeah, like cop meets rookies. Now he takes the rookies under their wing, and then now they prove themselves by the end. Now they're a part of the Space Rangers. I've
Yeah,
seen that before.
that's
It was
fair.
familiar,
Like
and it felt like a safe bet.
as soon as
Like,
they laid out the main plot for the movie where they said we destroy the ship, I knew it was like, okay, they're just gonna stick to this and not stray from it. Like there's nothing wrong with doing a basic plot line if you can make
yeah,
that plot interesting and like throw in any twists and turns. There were a couple, but the main plot
hmm
remains the same. They destroy the mothership, the shield goes down, and then they save the day. It like it's not a bad plot. It's just very boring and basic compared to like you said, Finding Nemo, Toy Story 4, or these themes like they have undertones which are very intriguing when you look at them under the surface level, but Lightyear's plot really doesn't make it past that, the surface level.
the freaking Incredibles, bro. Incredibles 1 and 2 are basically the same movie, but literally the interesting thing about them is just seeing how these middle-aged people have like glory days and stuff like that, and like they don't want to put down their glory days. I think
Yeah,
that's interesting. The idea of a space ranger is interesting, but the plot that they chose to have with this movie, it just I felt like I've seen it before. It's a safe bet, and I know where it's going.
Yeah,
But and also you know how these Pixar movies have like twists and stuff like that. How these next Disney movies have twists.
yeah.
The Zurg twist. What did you think about that?
Um, it was all right. Like when it was a twist, I was like, whoa, it's him. But beyond that, I don't know. Like I guess it's a cool thing, but it doesn't really change like how I feel about Zurg in the original movies. Like Zurg in the Toy Story movies, like it seems like interesting when he was there, but knowing he
Hmm.
was Buzz, it kind of makes that feel cheaper in a way. They both feel cheap now because I feel like since he was Buzz, they could have done more in this movie. And then it also kind of doesn't really make sense in the original movies. It wasn't a bad twist. I just feel like it was just kind of basic. They could have did more with it.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about Zurg. I loved Zurg in Toy Story 2 when he was like, "I am your father." That was a good callback to Star Wars, but him that being an older Buzz, he wasn't really villainous. You can't call him a villain. He wasn't really villainous. Yeah, he was willing to kill his younger self, but that's only because he wanted to go back in time and, save everyone. But I think that the way they handled it, it wasn't I
They could
I'm
have did
kind of
more with
torn
it.
on it. Yeah, like I'm kind of mixed on it because in one half I'm thinking as I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking that okay, maybe that could have worked. But then in terms of the movie, I don't think it did very well or as well as they wanted it to.
Yeah,
So I'm a little bit torn on Zurg as of this point, as it being an older Buzz, but I was very disappointed by Zurg, if you get what I mean. I'm great. It's good that it was a older Buzz, but I'm disappointed that it wasn't something else. But
in
that's
the
just me.
sequel, if Zurg does be main villain, because they are hinting at a sequel, I hope they
Yep.
lean more into Zurg being more of a villain, like a bad guy, like kind of just like a bad guy, which is how I always thought of Zurg in the original Buzz and the original Toy Story movies. But for this movie,
Yep.
it was an alright plot. He was an alright villain. He was serviceable to be the big bad to overthrow at the end. But I hope in a sequel they do more with him.
Exactly. Like as a big foil to Buzz Lightyear, I feel like Zurg is right there. Like you could do something with that. You didn't have to make him an older Buzz, but if it had served your story, then I guess so. But honestly, your story wasn't that great, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But like any closing thoughts
Well,
about Lightyear?
all I want to say is, overall, I feel like it was good. There were I like how they tie in a lot of stuff about original Buzz's character being based off this, and I feel like they treated the nostalgia very well, especially with the wings. Like the
Yeah,
whole movie, I was worried like,
dude.
where are the wings? Where are the wings? And then he gets this cool ejector seat. There's a whole shot with the wings expanding and him classically flying with his arms out. It was
Yeah,
just,
that was fire.
and then how they treat the laser with Buzz using it as a reliable tool that he found the whole movie, and then it eventually being incorporated into the suit. And then the
Yeah,
big
that
red
was
button
actually
on his suit. I always wondered what that was. Like when
yeah.
in the movies, I always wondered what those did. And in the also Toy Story movies, wasn't one of them gonna touch it, and he said, "Don't touch that" or something? I feel like that
Um,
was somewhere in the movies, but
no, when he touched the red button, his wings came out.
oh,
But somebody almost touched the laser.
oh yeah, it was a laser. But I like how they treated the classic aspects of this and tied them in using Buzz. So I feel like the
Yeah.
movie was really good in that regard.
So like when I came out of the movie, I said it was mid. But I mean, now I'm saying that it's okay. I liked it. I came out of it saying it was mid. It grown on me in the past couple of days because we saw this on Friday, the day it came out. So I I kind of like it now. It's kind of grown on me a little bit. But if this was the movie that Andy saw,
I wouldn't
I
buy the
don't see
toy.
how he would want a toy
I
for it.
wouldn't buy the
Like
toy.
I wouldn't buy the toy. Like I feel like he would have if he would have watched a different Lightyear movie that had a little bit more action but kept the same, the same beats, then maybe he would want a toy from it. But if he wanted a toy from this movie, I don't see like what's the appeal to that. But I'm gonna do a little ranking scale thing here. I would say it's a B and an 8 out of 10. I
That's
would
fair.
say it's good for nostalgia.
That's fair. I'm just gonna sit the right one with you. I'm gonna put it in B and give it an 8 out of 10. Like it was a serviceable movie. It was a good movie. It didn't
It was
have,
solid.
yeah, it didn't have any major highs, but it didn't also have really horrible lows. It was a good
Hmm.
movie. I will say, probably was a little bit more excited for it than I should have been, but hey, that's fine. It just means they did a good job with the marketing. But I feel like it
Yeah.
was a good movie. I hope they do make a
Have
sequel.
exactly. Like this could be a franchise. The idea of it being a franchise is good. Could you see did you see the last four Pixar films? Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red?
I did not watch a single one of them.
Really?
Nope, I never got around to them.
Bro. Nah, man. Lightyear is better than Onward, Luca, and Turning Red, but I didn't think it was better than Soul, but that's just because I really loved Soul. But yeah, that's it. I'm done. That's my final say on Lightyear.
Well, guys, if you watch Lightyear, let us know down below by giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you didn't like Lightyear, any engagement is all right. But thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll see you guys with whatever comes next.
Peace.